In today's video, I'll show you how you can use the full spectrum fork of the Snapmaker Orca Slicer to print this rainbow knitted duck on a Snapmaker U1 3D printer. Okay, you are going to want to download the Orca Slicer full spectrum fork. And so this is the website you're going to want to go to. This will also be in the description of the video. You're going to want to scroll down to the download area and download the latest stable release. Right now, the most recent stable release is version 0.9.4. So we're going to click on this. And the one we're using in here is going to be the Snapmaker Orca for Windows portable version. So what you're going to do is you're going to download the zip file and you will unzip it into a folder. And I name my folder to make sure that I recognize it as being the full spectrum fork. This way, by using the portable, you can still keep the Snapmaker Orca that you have, the regular Snapmaker Orca, and then just run the executable in the folders that you're going to unzip if you want to run the full spectrum. All right, next we are going to download the Peggy Palette Mini 38 color full spectrum tester from Makerworld. And when you do this, you don't want to open in Bamboo Studio, or you don't want to download the 3MF. You want to download STL CAD files. And you will download the 3MF that you find in here. So I will just download this. And now we're ready to set this up in the slicer. Okay, and I'm going to open the full spectrum Snapmaker Orca file. Okay, and I'm always going to get this download new version prompt. And the reason I'm getting this is because I'm using the portable version of the full spectrum slicer. And what this is doing is it's finding the actual Orca, the Snapmaker Orca file that I have installed on my computer. So I actually have both versions. I have the normal Snapmaker Orca and also the portable full spectrum slicer. And so at this point, just always going to say cancel because this is not going to update the correct version. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to go to File and Open Project. I'm going to discard previous settings. And we are going to open up the Peggy palette that we just downloaded from Makerworld. Now to get a more accurate color match for the colors that I'm using, I'm going to use red, green, and blue values for it. So for cyan, it's going to be 0 and 255 for green and 255 for blue. And that gives you a cyan color. And then for the magenta, the color for magenta is 255, 0 for the green, and 255 for the blue. And then the yellow is 255, 255, and 0, so that one's okay. And then the white is 255, 255, and 255. So now we have our colors mapped. Okay, now that we've got our colors mapped, we can hide the mixed filaments here for now. You can go ahead and slice this and print it out, because you might find it easier since these are not numbered. You can use a Sharpie after it's printed out to identify what the filament number is for each of these little squares. And how you're going to do that is you're going to come over here and select Objects. And then when you select number 1, That's showing you that this one right here is number 1. Then number 2 is this one right here. Number 3 is this one right here. Number 4 is the white, and it's also that little dot right there. And then number 5 is that, and also the little dot right there. And then 6, 7, 8, and so on and so on. And that's how you can identify the numbers of each one of these and label your swatch, so that when you want to color your actual items that you're going to want to print out, you can just select the filament number based on your swatch. Now the actual filaments I'm going to be using, I'm going to use some Panchroma PLA translucent filaments. And so I'm going to change all these to that type. And then for my white, I am just using the Snapmaker Snapspeed White. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this file as a template file, so that whenever I want to start a new project, I start with this. So I'm going to come up to File, and I'm going to save the project as, and I am going to save it in a folder that I'm saving all my full spectrum files in. Now in this case, I want this to be my template file, and so I'm going to call it Peggy Palette, and I'm using CMYW. And so now I have this file saved, and I can use it as a template the next time I need to use to color an object with this particular palette. Okay, we're going to download this model from Makerworld. So you do not want to open in Bamboo Studio. We want to download the 3MF file. And so I'm just going to download this to my downloads folder, and I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to download it again. Okay, I've got my full spectrum program open. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a project, and we are going to open our template file, which is the Peggy palette. And once again, this is using the Panchroma CMY filaments that are translucent. Okay, next I'm going to come up to File. I'm going to first of all select my second plate over here. If you don't have a second plate, you can come up here and add a plate. But now we are going to import the 3MF file that we just downloaded from Makerworld. So I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and it's the Rainbow Chick. Now you'll notice that it's added 3 new filaments to our main filaments section that we are going to want to eventually delete. We don't want to delete them yet because some of those colors are mapped into the coloring of the chick that we don't want to lose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the chick, come up to color painting, and we are going to reassign anything that's 5, 6, or 7. So I'm going to hold down the scroll button on my mouse to move the chick out. Then I can scroll out. You want to make sure that the tool type is fill. I'm going to set the smart fill angle to a rather large value. And we'll first of all replace anything that's number 5. So that seems to be the 2 purples on the wing. So we'll just remap those to something that's above a 7. Number 6, this seems to be the only 6, so I'll just remap that. And then number 7, I'll remap to 17. And so that should take care of all the colors that were either 5, 6, or 7. So I'm going to hit Escape. And now we can delete these three colors. And so now we can remap the colors to the final colors that we want for our chick. Now I've printed out my template so that I can pick the colors from an actual printed out using the filament colors that I've actually got loaded. And so we are going to go to color painting. Once again, make sure you're in fill and your smart fill angle is quite large. And for this color here, I think I will use number 14. And that looks pretty good. For this blue down here, I think I will use number 6. And so that's colored that. For this purple, I'm going to use number 8. Okay, for the wings, the blue that's on the wings, I think maybe even change that to a light green and maybe 16. No, I don't like that. I'll maybe just do a lighter blue. Let's do a number 22. And we'll do that as a lighter blue. And because I did that, I am going to set this one a little darker so that it offsets the lighter blue. I will also do this one as the lighter blue, which was 22, I believe. Okay, so we've got that mapped. For the reds, I'm going to use number 12. So I'm mapping those reds as number 12, and also do this bottom there as number 12. For the beaks, I'm going to want to use yellow, and also for the feet. For the eyes, I'm going to use the darkest color, which is 5. And I think this is going to be white. I want to remap that to something else. So we'll maybe do a light yellow for that, which would be like number 29 is our lightest yellow. And I like that. I think that looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and hit escape. Now, since I'm using the semi-translucent or the translucent filaments, I am going to try printing this out at a 0.16 high quality setting. I could also try 1.2, but I'm going to start with a 0.16 to see what kind of results I can get from that. And I'm going to transfer the rest of my settings. Now for this particular chick, I don't think I'm going to need supports because everything is at an adequate angle. So I'm going to disable supports, and we're going to go ahead and slice. All right, and these are the sliced results. And so now what we're going to do, we'll send it to the printer, upload and print. I've selected my U1. Now it's very important that you check how the slicer thinks what filaments it's going to use. For my Cyan, it thinks it's going to use the white filament, which I don't want. I want it to use my Cyan filament, so I'm going to remap that so that I know that the Cyan is filament 1, magenta is 2, yellow is 3, and white is 4. Now here you can set for auto leveling or time lapse or extrusion flow calibration if you want. And now we're ready to send. And here is the final printed model. Normally I would print using a 0.08 millimeter layer height, but I think that the knitted texture made it possible to print using a 0.16 millimeter layer height in this particular instance. And here is the prime tower, so you can see the amount of waste from this print. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!